5 or 6 does. Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Southern Extreme TV. We are going deer hunting this morning. I believe it's going to be beautiful. We've just set out Hurricane Ian, I believe is how you pronounce it. It's been raining pretty much for 24 hours straight, but this morning it actually blew out probably around 4 a.m. It's 6:30 right now. It's still really overcast, but there's like a 3% chance of rain in the forecast. So pretty much this weather front has pushed out, and I've got a good feeling that that storm mixed with the wind is going to have the acorns on the ground in a lot of places, and that these deer have been bedded down for quite some time, and they're going to be wanting to get up and feed and move around. So we're going to arguably the best property we have. We've got 2 good deer on camera over here that showed up recently last week, and they daylighted a couple times. They daylighted at like 6 p.m. in the afternoon, and then we've had a couple early morning photos of them as well. So putting all my eggs in this basket, going in with very light wind and hoping that they've been bedded down, with hopes that we're going to get some eyes laid on them. So let's go in here and get set up. Probably won't hear from you guys until it starts getting on up closer to filming light, but I'll see y'all around that time. Alright guys, we are finally up here and set up. I left it. We've got 2 stands on this road on this side of the property, and the stand on down is where we've been getting photos of those bigger deer at, but it's really thick down there, and I wasn't confident about the direction of the wind, but it seems like up here at this top stand that wind is pretty good for this spot. So I'm gonna hunt here this morning and probably come back and hunt that bottom stand this afternoon. But I feel good about it. We've got a big patch of hardwoods in front of me. And then we've got good bedding over my left shoulder, so I think that we're gonna be perfectly okay. We're just gonna set up here and hope for the best. That's all we can do.
we just had a group of does come through. It's like all of a sudden all these deer just started piling in. We had 3 or 4 does come from in front of us, and at the exact same time we had 2 does come from in behind us. That first doe that came in, I was probably going to shoot her because she came in looking up in this stand, but she never blew or nothing. She went on to bed and went about her business. But they were at about 30 yards, and it never really seemed like they settled down all that much. So we'll hang out for a little bit longer. God dang. There wasn't a deer blowing, trifling hoe. She got downwind of me. That's what I was afraid of. Those freaking does, they never go over there to the right-hand side of me. That's exactly where the wind's blowing. It's probably why they were all nervous and acting stupid, because the wind was blowing in a little different direction than what they are used to. That doe that just blew was the last doe that came in. And she never actually came out into the road bed. She stayed back in the real thick stuff. It's just one of those things. Those deer are they're gonna figure out a way to get downwind of everything that they're wanting to go to, whether it's food or bedding or whatever. Just hang tight for a little bit. Maybe we'll get another doe to come in, or maybe a buck.
Woo! Alright guys, so a little bit of an update. We had a bunch of those does come through there this morning. After those does came, I didn't see anything else. So I went in and got down. Had some work to do on a couple other properties with a couple other stands, and one of them was actually a stand on this same property that we hunted this morning, but was on the same road as me, just down the hill a little ways. And I was actually on the brink of hunting it this morning, but I elected not to go off down in there. And sure enough, I went back in there today after I got out of the woods to check a camera, and my 2 best deer of any of my properties daylighted at like 9:45 a.m. So that is extremely unfortunate. But that's part of it. I don't necessarily think that I would have shot those deer if I would have been in the tree stand, because right now where that tree stand is at, it doesn't really make a lot of sense to try to, it's just not set up right. So I went in there with a ground blind. It's really thick in there. That's the tough thing about it. There's only a couple of trees that we can get a stand in. So I went in there with a ground blind and popped the ground blind up right there, pretty much beside the ladder stand. So I'm hoping, you know, with that ground blind being right there, it's not going to cause too much disturbance, because it's already kind of thick in there. And with it being right beside that ladder stand anyway, I'm hoping they don't pay it that much attention. I did have a couple saplings that I needed to cut down. Nothing huge. Everything was probably about the size of a 50-cent piece. So I was able to cut those down, and I just kind of drug them and stacked them up vertically right in front of that ground blind, just to give it a little bit of cover. There's really no other way to hunt this spot right now, other than out of a ground blind, or just going in there and having to do a whole bunch of clearing and a whole bunch of cutting, which I don't want to do, because I feel like those deer are living really, really close to that area for them to be daylighting as much as they have been the last week and a half. So with that being said, you know, obviously putting up a new stand and cutting some saplings is not the greatest thing to do as far as, you know, not disturbing deer, but it can be very effective if you hunt it the same day. Those deer can come in there, give you a shot opportunity before they really get boogered or freaked out. The good thing about it is I put some more corn out right in front of the trail camera, so I'm hoping that the commotion and what they're used to hearing will just kind of be second nature to them as far as us going down there and checking the camera. I'm hoping that's just starting to be a little bit more of a routine for those deer, especially now that there's more corn on the ground. I'm thinking that those deer may associate those sounds with food. That's not always the case. These deer get big and smart somehow, some way. So it's going to be a long shot tonight. I do have the crossbow loaded up this afternoon, mainly because the ground blind that I got is pretty small. I don't have a very large ground blind because we don't hunt out of ground blinds a lot here where I'm from. So it would be very difficult to draw, and we're going to be like, I'm talking right up on top of these deer if they come in like 10 to 15 yard shots. But the good thing is it's so thick in there that by the time they get into the area to really realize that, hey, there's a ground blind there, there's something off or different, they're going to be within shooting range and they're going to be right there. So I feel kind of good about it, especially since they were in there this morning. So I'm headed over there now. It's early. It's about 4:30. But one of the photos we had of these deer was around 6 o'clock in the afternoon. So I want to get in there and let everything die down and get calmed down and quiet, and hopefully before they really start moving. I think today is a phenomenal day for deer movement. We got to be at the right place at the right time, and we got to try to fool some of these mature deer, and that's a tough feat sometimes. So let's go knock it out, see if we can hit a home run, guys. See if we can let the crossbow sing. First buck with a crossbow would be really nice. I've only killed one deer with a crossbow, and I mainly only use that crossbow when I'm hunting from the ground on the select few times that I do that. So let's see if we can get lucky. Dressed in all black tonight, baby. Let's go get it done. Shoot a big buck.
Yeah, I just pulled up over here at the property. We got a pretty good walk into this place. I could drive the four-wheeler, but I'm elected not to. But I want to take a minute and show all you guys the reasoning why I am here tonight. And that's that bad boy right there. They're laying everywhere. And this place, the last time I was here, these were not on the ground, and now they are. So that's a huge deal right now. That is one of the greatest things for the survival of white-tailed deer in this area through the winter months is how many acorns can they eat, how much body fat can they put on to get through the winter. We do not have very large ag fields here where we are from, so our deer do not survive heavily on ag. Now we've got obviously some fields that these deer will travel to, but for example, this property here, 100 and something acres, adjoined by hundreds and hundreds of hardwoods. There's no ag fields for these deer to feed on. These deer are browsing on greenery and hay fields, muscadines when they're dropping. But this time of year, this is their biggest food source. So when they start dropping in really good areas close to their bedding, that's a big deal. A lot of times it's very tough to kill a big buck during this time of year because that big buck will get off into a real thick area like this right here that has one acorn tree like this, and he'll live there. He'll sit beside food, water, and bedding, and that big buck, he may spend the next 2.5 weeks living in a 200-yard radius, sometimes smaller than that, even a 100-yard radius. feel good about it. We just got a little bit of a walk in. I'm getting ready to get down pretty close to their bedding area, so I'm gonna try to stay quiet if at all possible. And I'll see you guys when we get up in the stand. Nothing is safe tonight, let me put it that way. I mean, that wind is just absolutely 100% changed. TV, we got a good, cool, brisk morning, and we were going to go set the deer woods for a couple hours. We don't have a long time to hunt this morning, but I think it's going to be a good morning. I really do think that. So we're going to get in the stand. Pretty much anything is on the table this morning. Mainly going in more than likely for a nanny doe. We do have a couple good bucks running around this place. There's a chance that they can come in. However, the majority of our bucks have been moving very early in the morning, like 2:30 to 4:30 a.m. But yesterday morning we had a good bit of doe movement around that 7:30 to 8:30 mark. So we're gonna go in there and give it a little bit, see if we can get it done. Thanks for hanging out with me. Let's go see if we can whack a slick head. Guys, I just seen a deer move to the right of the corn, down in some of that thicker stuff. I had one little opening where I seen it walk through. And I haven't seen it move yet again. Somehow those deer got around me without coming into any of my shooting lanes. We just had like 5 or 6. Come back here. We're still piling through there. We just had like 5 or 6 does skirt this edge up above me. I can still hear deer walking in there. I mean, there was just a single file line, one right after another. But I have no clue how. I seen one deer right there in front of me. I have no clue how every one of those deer there would have got by me if they would have came from down the hill. I still see deer moving. What the heck? I swear, as many deer as that was, I really don't think that first deer I seen down here below me was a part of that group. Because from where I seen that first deer to where that big group is at, I've got a really big gap to where I can see pretty dang well. opportunity right there to shoot a nanny doe. And guys, we wound up not seeing anything else this morning. So this afternoon, we are throwing, not really a Hail Mary, we're going to a spot that, I'm here to tell you now, more than likely, we're not going to see anything with horns. But there's a phenomenal chance that we're going to have an opportunity at a doe. I have not shot a deer all year, and it's probably the longest that I've ever been in a pretty substantial amount of time without shooting a deer with a bow, early season, doe or anything. We don't kill a lot of big bucks with a bow around here this time of year. You know, all the big bucks in the area we live in, they're typically killed in November. But I gotta get some meat in the freezer, and I gotta really get some practice in, some live practice before Ohio. We got Ohio in a couple weeks. We're gonna be up there for 10 days hunting some public ground, so I really just want to get sharp and stay sharp if at all possible. So we're gonna slide in here tonight. It's just a little bitty patch of hardwoods in between a bunch of houses. We've been hunting this property for a long time. We've never killed a good buck out of here. Very rarely have we ever even had a good buck on camera. But we got a pile of does. And there's a lot of acorns on the ground. I mean, a bunch of acorns. So we're gonna slide in here tonight. Running a little late, but I mean, I'm not really stressed about it because these does are on a pretty good schedule. You know, they're coming in the last probably hour of daylight. But I think it's gonna be a good hunt. I think we're gonna see some deer. I think we're gonna get a chance to get a shot at some deer as well. So, see what happens. Guys, we're gonna shoot this doe.
Well guys, that is it for today's video. We've been grinding it out here in North Carolina. The bucks have disappeared, the deer have disappeared. They haven't really disappeared. What it is just a very tough time of year. There's a lot of food on the ground. Their patterns are changing. They're trying to figure out new ways to move, different times to move. It's a transition period between their summer, early spring or early fall pattern into the fall pattern, and then on into the rut pattern. So it's just a learning process. I think it's going to kick off here in the next couple of weeks, but we're going to grind it out and hopefully keep bringing you guys some videos. So be sure to hang out and hit that subscribe button, trying to grow this thing to 100,000 subscribers. So every click gets me one step closer. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. See you guys next time.